The Day of Atonement is the day where basically everything ceases. I mean, there's no activity in Israel. There are no cars driving on the street.
Remember the scene on Mount Sinai as God was coming down? The children of Israel were all waiting at their tents, shaking in their boots.
It's even called the 10 days of tshuva, the 10 day of repentance.
Of returning.
God is always described as one in the plural. Echad, exactly.
Yeah.
I think Jesus was calling her to a greater understanding because she said, whatever you ask from God, he will give it to you. She understood who Jesus is.
I want to ask you something. So if you wanted to refer to Psalm 22 back in Jesus' day, without a chapter, how would you do it?
I would do what the rabbis do in the Midrash and in the Talmud. I would quote a verse or half a verse to let the people go to that chapter, to that section.
So when Yeshua says from the cross, Eli, Eli, lama azavtani, why did you forsake
sounds
me?
really familiar.
Why do you think he said that? What was he doing by saying that psalm? By the way, Matthew's account of the crucifixion is filled with allusions to Psalm 22. But in verse 35, it says this, and when they had crucified him, what do you do when you crucify somebody? You pierce their hands and their feet. They divided up his garments, which is exactly also from Psalm 22.
When my brothers and I were younger, and in the Feast of Tabernacles, we always build, a sukkah, like a temporary tabernacle type thing, and we wanted to sleep there and this and that, and my mom would remind us that when she and her family, when they immigrated to Israel, there was no housing. I mean, there simply were no apartments.
Yeah.
So they lived for 2 or 3 years in like a temporary housing thing, basically a tent.
Tent city in a way.
It's a tent city. That's what it was. And God is speaking directly to the human nature. And he says to the Israelites, remember, don't forget who you are. Don't forget your God. And, when you come to the land and you build nice houses and you plant vineyards and you enjoy the fruit of the land and all the goodness and blessings, physical blessings and comforts that God is blessing you, beware, be careful lest you forget the Lord your God and you say, oh, it's my wisdom, my strength, that I have all this. And
See, if you gain the whole world, and that's what Solomon did, Yeshua said, if you gain the whole world and you lose your soul, you don't have God, it's only under the sun, what does it accomplish? What's the purpose? And we talked about it before the podcast, about the people who believe that there's nothing after death.
And among all the tons of stones that you have there, he saw one pile of stones, and there were some pieces of broken clays that immediately, he was very experienced, he immediately saw that this goes back to the Israelite period.
The curse. So the lamb was sacrificed on the mount of the curse. And so what a beautiful picture of the gospel. It's smack dab in the middle, like it's on the side that's facing where Joshua proclaimed that famous statement, choose for this day whom you will serve.